Okay, you can read the problem here. We have three forces acting in different directions. The first step we're going to do is make a coordinate grid. We'll do this here. And the first force is 10 degrees, 500 newtons. This is east, north, west, south. Second force, 25 degrees, north and west, 200. The third one is 40 degrees, 400 newtons. The next step I want to do is just make an X and Y grid off to the side. I'll put my vectors 500, 200, 400, like so. And what I want to do is to break these vectors up into X and Y components. So I'll just do a dotted line to make some triangles here that you can see. Change my marker, make it red. This is a Y component. There's an X. There's a Y, Y, X, X. The next thing I want to do is tell what value the X's and Y's are. Things in this quadrant over here is the positive Y, positive X. On this side here, we have a positive Y, negative X, negative Y, negative X. You'll see what we do with that later on. First step, let's look at the 500 Newton vector. Knowing SOHCAHTOA, let's get the Y side. It's the opposite side. So that's sine function. So I'll say the sine of 500 is, excuse me, let's change that. Let's actually do it correct here. The sine of 10 is opposite over hypotenuse 500. So Y equals 500 sine 10. We'll punch that out. 500 sine 10. That comes out to be 86.8. I'm going to change marker color. And 86.8, since that is in this quadrant here, that value is positive. For the X component, it's going to be cosine. Cosine of 10 is X over 500. So X is 500 cosine 10. Punching that in, 500 cosine 10 is 492.4 positive because it's in that quadrant. I'll erase so we can clear this up a little bit. All right. Moving on, let's do the 200 value. Well, look at Y. That is the opposite side in this case. That's sine. So the sine of 25 is opposite, which is Y over 200. Math is very similar. Y equals 200 sine 25. Punch that in. 200 sine 25. That is 84.5. Since it is positive right here, that value is positive. Let's do the X. Once you get the pattern here, we'll simply say X is 200 cosine 25. Punching that in, 200 cosine 25, and enter. That X comes out to 81.2. That value is negative since it's in the quadrant where we already designated that. We'll erase. We'll now do the last one. So we're in this quadrant right here, and I see that it's the opposite side, so it's the sine of 40 is opposite, which is Y over 400. Y equals 400 sine 40. Punching that in the calculator again. That equals 257.1 for the Y. That's negative because it's in that quadrant. The X I can do right here. We'll simply say X is 400 cosine 40, that is 306.4, negative because the quadrants is, again, erasing again. Now simply what I want to do is add up the columns over here. So I'll simply say 492.4 minus 181.2 minus 306.4. I get 4.8. That can be positive. I'll indicate that. Now I'll do the y column. 86.8 plus 84.5, enter, minus 257.1 equals negative 85.8. You just have a plus x and a minus y, which means I have to be in this quadrant right here where I'm putting the check mark. So plus x and minus y is in this quadrant. All right? So now that I know that, what I'll do is simply need to figure out what the result of this is. So I know I have an x value of 4.8 and I have a y value of 85.8, something like that. I'm going to use a triangle. I can kind of draw these right here. Let me erase this. I'm going to get rid of this right here just to clear it up. Okay, so I have an x value, we'll put right here, of 4.8. I have the y running along here, not quite the scale, so 85.8 right here. And so I'm looking to try to find the result of those. The result of that right there. Another way to write it, I could put my 85.8 right here. Well, if I do this, this gives me the diagonal, and that's what I'm looking for, so that's what I want to know. The Pythagorean theorem, if I label this like C, is C squared equals 1 of the sides squared, so that's 85.8 squared, plus 4.8 squared. I'll do my math. 85.8 squared plus 4.8 squared. I'll take the square root of that. And I get 85.9 newtons. So that's the value of my resultant right there. That's part of it, but I also need an angle. So if I pick up my eraser, and erase this right here, draw my line, I see this comes out to be 85.9. Now my angle I think is going to be pretty shallow, but let's just check out and see where it comes out. So if I do that, now I want to find angle theta right here. I have a few different ways to do this. I'll use SOHCAHTOA. This is my opposite side. This is my adjacent. So that is tangent. So tangent of theta is opposite 85.8 over adjacent, which is 4.8. We'll punch that in. 85.8 divided by 4.8. Enter, then I have to hit inverse tangent. That angle theta came out to be 86.8 degrees. So it's a big angle. So this is going to be 86.8 degrees, and I'm heading south of east. And that's my answer, and that's how you solve a problem like that.